Hello. For my object schedule, I am going to be using two bins. One is a start bin, and then two is the finish bin. So for my object schedule, I am using a bedtime routine for a child who is trying to become more independent before going to bed. So the first activity that the student will have to complete in their object schedule is eating a snack. So in this particular example, I have a bag of goldfish measured out for them. With the bedtime snack, you would want to have it portioned out so that way the child knows exactly what they're allowed to eat. Once the child finishes their bedtime snack, they could then put the empty bag of the goldfish in the finished box so the parent knows that they are done. And while they are eating their bedtime snack, the parent will be putting the next activity for that student to complete in the start box. So in the next start box would be to brush their teeth before bed. So I have a toothbrush and a tube of toothpaste, so the child should know what to do to brush their teeth. And then when they are finished brushing their teeth, they will be putting that in the finished box. And then again, the parent will be putting the next activity for them to complete in the start box. So in this case, I have a book for them to either read to their child, or the child could be reading it on their own, again, just depending on their level. So when they are finished with the book, that will go in the finished box, and then the child will see that there is nothing more for them to complete in the start bin, so they know it's time to go to bed. They're finished everything that they need to do that night. So that is my object schedule. So moving on now to the Boardmaker micro schedule. So this micro schedule is for a preschool aged child, someone who might be going to just morning preschool. So this schedule could be placed in a cubby so they could see that the minute they walk in, or it could also be at their desk. So for this particular micro schedule, I have 3 activities that they need to complete before they can get a reward. So first off, Emma is going to partake in morning meeting. So that might be sharing stories. It could be talking about the weather, doing the calendar. Then once they are finished with the morning meeting, they're going to go on to story time. So because this is a preschool level micro schedule, I would say that the teacher would be the one reading during the story time. Then the students and Emma will partake in a craft, and then once they get through all those 3 activities, Emma can see that it's recess time. So this wouldn't be a daily schedule. Every day there might be different activities before Emma gets to the recess. So this is good to see what she has to get through, then she gets her reward. So that is my micro schedule. Next up is my macro schedule, my daily whole day schedule. So I made this for Alex. Alex would be a probably younger elementary age child. So I broke this down into 2 sides. So this is side 1 and then side 2. So the first side is all about the morning, and then the second side is all about the afternoon. So it kind of breaks Alex's day down into 2 parts. So you can see kind of 6 different things in the morning. So they start out with morning meeting, then Alex knows he has math, writing, music, occupational therapy, and lunch. So Alex can see that he has to get through 5 different activities before he gets a break at lunch. Then on the back, it's his afternoon, so he's going to have recess after lunch, story time. He might go into speech class, STEM, and then he gets to finish the day with free choice, and then he sees that he gets to go home. So again, there's a reward at the end of the day with free time. He gets a say in what he wants to do, so he has to get through story time, speech, STEM, and then he knows it's free time, and then after free time he knows that he gets to go home. So again, this just lays out Alex's day for him. I broke it down halfway, so he only has to focus on one part of the day, either morning or afternoon, and not the whole thing at once. Next up is my typed schedule. So I created this for a high school student, someone who I would be working with. So it lists out the 8 periods of the day and then the times for each period. I made this small so it could easily be placed in maybe an agenda, a binder, and it can be kept out of sight to others. So whereas the other 2 schedules, other people might be able to see and multiple students might have those schedules, this one is kind of an independent for the high school student, so they can reference it when they need it. And it doesn't have to be a big production that they're looking at that schedule. So again, this is for the high school level. They can easily see what class they need to go to and the times for the class. All right, next up is my adapted storybook. So this is a young elementary aged child book. This could be used in 2 different ways. So one way it could be is for counting. So every page counts 1, 2, 3, 4, goes all the way up to 10. So it could help with counting, and then on each page it has the number of objects. So like on this particular page there's 3 mice, over here is 4 fish. So it could help with counting, again the visual aid to help with counting. And then it could also help with recognition because I put a 3, a 4 next to the word 3 and next to the word 4. So that's one way it could be used, probably for a younger child. And then for an older child, it could be used for the reading and the literacy aspect. So for each main word, I used the clip art image of something so they could start recognizing what that word means, how to say it, what it represents. So for example, 1 elephant doing tricks. I have the number 1 to match up to the 1, and then also the elephant. And then for doing tricks, I have a magician doing tricks. 2 hippos on sticks. So again, 2 matching that up to the number 2. 2 hippos, and then sticks. And then just a few more examples. 3 and 3 mice on parade. So again, mice, 3 mice at a parade. And then 4 fish sip lemonade. So I have fish matching up to the fish and lemonade matching up with the lemonade. So that could be used for multiple things, number recognition, counting, as well as literacy at the early stages. And last up, I have my social story. So my social story was created for teaching manners and manners that I would want my students to be using in the classroom as well as outside the classroom. So I came up with 6 different manners that I would want to teach my student or my child through pictures and visuals. Again, visuals help them see the manners. So first up I have, when you want something, it's important to say please and thank you, and be sure to ask nicely. So again, I have dialogue between 2 animals, 2 people saying please and thank you. Next up I have about sharing with toys with your friends. So in both the images, I have 2 friends sharing a book or the toys. So it's important for the young child to know to share their toys and be kind to each other. Number 3, I have when you're done playing, it's important to clean up. So in one example, I have a student or a child cleaning up after themselves. If they're playing by themselves, they need to be expected to clean up after themselves. But then I also did an example where there's multiple people cleaning up, because I think that's important for them to see that if there's 3 people playing, then all 3 of them need to help clean up, not just one person. 4th manner I want them to learn is to say excuse me if someone is in their way. So I have a minion here saying excuse me, as well as just some dialogue between others. Excuse me, please, thank you. And my last 2, when talking to someone, it's important to use your inside voice. There's no need to yell when you're talking to someone right directly near you. So please keep your voices down, inside voices, speaking quietly. And then lastly is dealing with keeping personal space. So it is important to give everyone their own personal space so that way they don't feel overwhelmed. So in one clip art example, I have circles around 3 people showing their individual space and to not enter their personal space. And then lastly, I have a friend giving their friend their own personal space. So that is my social story on using manners. Again, this could be used in the classroom setting as a teacher, or it could be used at home from a parent to help their child.